What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This here's Legitical Response. Now, Trump showed up to the National Association for Black Journalists the other day. As you all probably know, I'm sure you've probably seen some of the clips, but I've noticed a few things about the whole thing as I watched the whole thing. And it starts off with a bang, right? I'm sure you've all seen the viral clip of Donald Trump going in and, you know, he does his thing. He could have done a whole hell of a lot better, if you ask me. But I want to get into some of the nuance around the opening and then a few questions throughout the whole thing. Kind of want to talk about, I got some criticisms for Trump, something he should have done way better that I think he could have done a whole hell of a lot better. And, you know, it does start off, and I ain't gonna lie, she starts off quite rude, if you ask me. Let's go ahead and roll that clip just to get rolling here.
Mr. President, we so appreciate you giving us an hour of your time. I want to start by addressing the elephant in the room, sir. A lot of people did not think it was appropriate for you to be here today. You have pushed false claims about some of your rivals, from Nikki Haley to former President Barack Obama, saying that they were not born in the United States, which is not true. You have told 4 congresswomen of color who were American citizens to go back to where they came from. You have used words like animal and rabid to describe black district attorneys. You've attacked black journalists, calling them a loser, saying the questions that they ask are, quote, stupid and racist. You've had dinner with a white supremacist at your Mar-a-Lago resort. So my question, sir, now that you are asking black supporters to vote for you, why should black voters trust you after you have used language like that?
Well, first of all, I don't think I've ever been asked a question in such a horrible manner. First question. You don't even say, hello, how are you? Are you with ABC? Because I think they're a fake news network, a terrible network. And I think it's disgraceful that I came here in good spirit. I love the black population of this country. I've done so much for the black population of this country, including employment, including opportunity zones with Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina, which is one of the greatest programs ever for black workers and black entrepreneurs. I've done so much, and you know, and I say this, historically black colleges and universities were out of money, they were stone cold broke, and I saved them and I gave them long-term financing, and nobody else was doing it. I think it's a very rude introduction. I don't know exactly why you would do something like that. And let me go a step further. I was invited here and I was told my opponent, whether it was Biden or Kamala, I was told my opponent was going to be here. It turned out my opponent isn't here. You invited me under false pretense. And then you said, you can't do it with Zoom. Well, you know, where's Zoom? She's going to do it with Zoom and she's not coming. And then you were half an hour late, just so we understand. I have too much respect for you to be late. They couldn't get their equipment working or something was wrong.
Mr. President, I would love if you can answer the question on your rhetoric and why you believe that black voters should trust you with another 4 years.
I have been the best president for the black population since Abraham Lincoln. That's my answer.
Better than President Johnson, who signed the Voting Rights Act?
And for you to start off a question and answer period, especially when you're 35 minutes late because you couldn't get your equipment to work, in such a hostile manner, I think it's a disgrace.
Let me just ask
Now, honestly, I think he did pretty good right there, coming out saying that was a horrible way to start off this thing, which I totally agree. But, you know, she throws out a whole bunch of claims that are pretty much facts, right? He has said those things. He has done those things. He did have dinner with a white supremacist. However, the nuance around that, and the nuance that she leaves out, of course, was that it was Kanye West that invited the white supremacist. What was it? Nick Papadopoulos, I think is his name. I can't really remember right off. I think that's his name, but it's Kanye West that invited that guy. Trump didn't even know the guy was coming. So let's just go ahead and throw that away because that was just BS. All right. And then this lady's saying that. Okay, so what point are you trying to make with him saying that these people are animals? Or are you trying to say that black people can't get criticized for their actions? Is that where you're trying to go with this? Because holy crap, that's quite of an insane take to have, because how are we supposed to criticize anybody for their failures, right? It's like they're equivocating racism to criticism. No, those are two very different things, right? You can criticize somebody and not be racist whatsoever. I mean, that is something that is critically wrong with the left these days. They want to throw race on everything. You say something to criticize somebody and all of a sudden they want to flip it around and turn it into racism. I think he handles that pretty well right there by flipping it back on her, which, I mean, come on, that was like a nasty way to start this thing out. But he handles it pretty well in this instance, if you ask me, because once again, if we can't criticize black people because they're black, then we're going to have some major problems. That means that black people can just get away with anything they want to. And I'm sorry, we need to hold everybody to the same standard. I really wish the left would stop with all this race-baity BS that they're doing, because all it's doing is sowing division in this country, which we do not need. I'm sure everybody agrees that we need to turn the divisiveness down quite a notch.
Follow up, sir, and then we'll move on to other questions here. Some of your own supporters, including Republicans on Capitol Hill, have labeled Vice President Kamala Harris, who is the first black and Asian American woman to serve as vice president and be on a major party ticket, as a DEI hire. Is that acceptable language to you? And will you tell those Republicans and those supporters to stop it?
How do you define DEI? Go ahead. How do you define
diversity, equity, inclusion?
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Is that what your definition?
That is
give me a
literally
definition
the words
then. Would you give me a definition
DEI.
of that? Give me a definition.
Sir,
of
I'm
that.
asking you a question,
No,
a
you
very
have to
direct
define
question.
it. Define it for me, if you
I
would.
just defined it, sir. Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is only on the ticket because she is a black woman?
Well, I can say no. I think it's maybe a little bit different. So, I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly, very much, and she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black?
She is always
But you know
identified
what?
as a black woman.
I
She went to a
respect either
historically black
one.
college.
I respect either one, but she obviously doesn't, because she was Indian all the way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn and she became a black person.
Just to be clear, sir, do
And
you
I
believe
think,
that
I think
she is
somebody should look into that too when you ask continue in a very hostile, nasty tone.
It's a direct question, sir. Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is a DEI hire, as some
I
Republicans
really
have
don't know.
said?
I mean, I really don't know. Could be. There are some.
And what he does right there, once again, a masterclass in how to reverse and flip it right back on them. Define DEI, because when you do that, when you define diversity, equity, and inclusion, you will find, going back with statements that Joe Biden made, that she absolutely is a diversity hire. And by the way, let's go ahead and get into this right quick. Why are these people offended by this? Why is this even a question? Why would you want his colleagues, Republicans, to not say that? What is the problem with pointing out a fact, right? She is a diversity hire. Joe Biden specifically said he wants to hire a woman as vice president instead of the best person for the job. And then when pressured into getting a black person for the candidate, he said, sure, no problems. He's going to pick a black person for the job instead of picking the best person for the job just outright. Joe Biden is the one who labeled her a DEI hire, and then they take offense to people saying that. Why? Define DEI, and then please tell me why that is offensive. That shouldn't be offensive whatsoever. He's being more inclusive, y'all. Right? Like, this makes no sense to me whatsoever. I've never understood why people are taking offense to being called a diversity hire. That's what you are. If that's what you are, then that's what you are. That is a compliment to the person that hired you, by the way. Like, we don't understand this unless you dig a little bit deeper into it and realize that these people know what's going on with this, that they know that the diversity, equity, and inclusion is racist outright. They're only hiring these people because of their background, because of their immutable characteristics, if you will. It's just crazy to me that people take offense with that. Like, you guys are the ones that are trying to push this on everybody and then take offense to it when you're called out on it. Like, come on now. What is really going on with this? But Trump does do a pretty good job at flipping the script on that. And he does come out with some, kind of facts-ish. She did claim her Indian heritage. She is not black, by the way. I do believe that Kamala Harris is the future of humanity, that eventually we will all, procreate with each other so much that you won't be able to tell the differences between any sort of races out there at all, which, honestly, the only differences now really are looks. Like, to me, I don't see any difference in, skin color is just a different shade. It's like the color of a car or something like that. You got a different color, that's skin color. It doesn't matter, right? We shouldn't be looking at things like, oh, we need to hire more black people. No, you just need to hire more people that you get applications for crying out loud. Like, why? I don't understand why this push is to hire more diversity, more diverse people, right? If your company reflects the population of the country, then you're quite diverse enough. Well, that's something that I don't understand. Like, with this whole diversity thing, you want to have this many of this and this many of this. Why is that? What's your angle? Like, I really want to dig deep into that, like some of these people, and ask them, what is the angle here? Like, seriously, what is the angle? Why do you want to have this many gay people, right? Like, gay people or LGBTQ people or whatever the hell you want to call it, they're only a small percentage of the population, to be honest. So, does your company reflect that? And if it doesn't, why does it not? Is it specifically because you didn't want to hire these people? Or is it specifically because maybe those people didn't apply for that position at that job? Did you ever think about that? Maybe this is why certain companies aren't quote-unquote diverse and inclusive. Maybe because those people didn't want to apply to that position or apply to work at that place. It's like, come on, people, let's think about these things, right? To me, diversity, equity, inclusion, it's just a giant virtue signal. But let's get into something else that I think Trump deserves a little bit of criticism for, and hopefully he takes this criticism to heart. If he sees it, maybe he'll think about it and take it in one day. Let's roll the next clip.
When Time Magazine asked you if you would consider pardoning all the rioters, you said, yes, absolutely. Sure. You called them patriots. 140 police officers were assaulted that day. Their injuries included broken bones. At least one officer lost an eye. One had 2 cracked ribs, 2 smashed spinal discs. Another had a stroke. Were the people who assaulted those 140 officers, including those I just mentioned, patriots who deserve pardons?
Well, let me bring it back to modern day. Like about 5 days ago, we had an attack on the Capitol, a horrible attack on the Capitol. You saw the people that were protesting and spraying these incredible monuments, bells, lions, all these magnificent limestone and granite with red paint, red spray paint, that will never actually come off, especially in the limestone. It will never, I'm a builder, I know about this stuff. It'll never, you'll see it in 100 years from now. They viciously attacked our government. They fought with police. They fought with them much more openly than I saw on January 6th. What's going to happen to those people? What's going to happen to the people in Portland that destroyed that city?
But sir, my question is on those.
What's going to happen to the people that tried to burn?
My question is on those rioters who assaulted officers.
You have to
would you pardon those people?
What's going to happen? Oh, absolutely, I would.
You would pardon those?
If they're innocent, I would pardon them.
They've been convicted.
And by the way, the Supreme Court just well, they were convicted by a very tough system. How come the people that tried to burn down Minneapolis, how come the people that took over a large percentage of Seattle, how come nothing happened to them? How come the people
sir, we're talking about people that were seen beating officers with flagpoles, dragging them down the stairs. They're on video. Have you seen that video, sir?
Oh, really? Well, they
you would pardon those rioters?
They shot a young lady in the face who was protesting. They shot her in the face. You know, nobody died that day. You do know that. But people died in Seattle. Nobody died, but people died in Minneapolis. You know people died in Minneapolis. And nothing happens, and nobody ever talks, and nothing happens to those people. But you went after the J6 people with a vengeance. And I'll tell you what about the cops that were, and I'm all for the police, as you know, but what about the police that are ushering everybody into the Capitol? Go in, go in, go in. What about that? Look, nothing is perfect in life, but you have people from Minneapolis, you have people just from 5 days ago in Washington, D.C., they were having fistfights and fighting with the police. They were spraying and destroying, they were desecrating our monuments in Washington, D.C. 5 days ago, and nothing happened to them. And you can't have two systems of justice. That's why they went after me as a political opponent, because they felt they couldn't win without doing that. And we're going to win our cases, and we're going to be vindicated. But I have to spend a lot of time on that and money. That's what they want. After the election, they won't care. Although in my case, I think they probably will, because the hatred is pretty deep. But I'll tell you, they went after me as a political opponent. That's never happened in our country before, and it sets a terrible, terrible precedent.
Now, one thing I would like to ask Donald Trump is, what is wrong with saying this just outright, that anybody that was violent, that was convicted for violence on January 6th, no, I'm not going to commute their sentence. I'm not going to pardon these people. They shouldn't have gotten violent because supposedly we are the party of law and order. You told those people to go peacefully protest. You told them specifically not to be violent. You told them peacefully and patriotically. That was your specific words. What is wrong with saying that the people that were not violent, most certainly I am going to pardon those people because the Justice Department was weaponized to go after those people. As a matter of fact, they are still going after those people till this day. Some of the people that were not violent, that just showed up, were waved in by Capitol Police that walked around the Capitol, didn't go and destroy anything, didn't go anywhere they weren't supposed to, got trespassing charges, got, official obstruction of official proceeding charges, and all that garbage for no apparent reason because they showed up to a protest. They were nonviolent, protested, and went home. Why? What is so hard about saying that? That no, the people that were violent, no, they shouldn't have done that. I can't condone that. But the people that were nonviolent, which is the vast majority of January 6th defendants, why can't you just say that, Trump, that those people that were nonviolent are definitely getting a pardon because the government has been weaponized against them? What is wrong with saying that, Trump? Why can you not say that? Why can't you just say the violent people deserved what they got? Some of them, people like Enrique Tarrio, did not deserve 22 years. A lot of those people that got, 20 years. There's a few of them. Enrique Tarrio got 22. Another guy, I forget the names right off the top of my head, got 20 years. A couple of the other Proud Boys got 18 years, 15 years, 16 years, blah, blah, blah. You get it. Some of those people that didn't even show up on January 6th, do they deserve 22 freaking years? I would ask that question to that journalist. Does he deserve 22 years in prison for not even being there? Let me know that. Do the people that were nonviolent, that were ushered in by cops, deserve to go to jail, to be harassed by the FBI, to have the entire weight of the federal government weaponized against you? Do these people deserve that for being peaceful protesters? I mean, he brings up a very good point, but you'll never win the debate when it's, what about this? What about that? Whataboutism doesn't work on a debate on this scale like this. When you're in front of a crowd like that, and you're asked a direct question like that, you should give a direct answer. And Trump doesn't do that here. I think he fails miserably to answer this question. Like I said, it's really not hard to say the violent people, no. The non-violent people, which is the vast majority of people, because I do believe there was only like 150 violent people on January 6th. It wasn't that many. And I'm talking about violence like fighting with cops, blah, 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 blah. 140 cops were injured. So those people that were violent, no, they don't deserve pardons whatsoever. Maybe you want to look into some of those cases and see, were they sentenced to an extreme degree? Maybe look into that. maybe look at reducing their sentence, blah, blah, blah. You get it. Maybe that. Maybe you could answer in that way. But what is so hard about that, Trump? Come on now. But let's finish that clip, because once again, he flips into Trump mode and hammers a few good points home. Let's finish this out.
What do you do on day one if you win? What's your first thing?
What do? I close the border. And I do two things, because I can do a lot of things simultaneously. I close the border. We don't want people coming in. We want people to come in, Harris, but they have to be vetted. They have to be checked. They have to come in legally. I want people to come into our country, but they have to be vetted. They have to be checked. So when you say, what do I do? That, and I drill, baby, drill. I bring energy way down. I bring interest rates down. I bring inflation way down so people can buy bacon again, so people can buy a ham sandwich again, so that people can go to a restaurant and afford it. Because right now, people can't buy food. Your grocery bills are up 40, 50, 60%, right? She's agreeing to me. Oh, she's agreeing. Thank you. I like you very much.
Mr. President, I think we are.
But it's true. Your grocery bills are up. And then they're mandating that you buy an all-electric car. You know, Elon Musk endorsed me, and he's a friend of mine. He's a good guy. He's a smart guy. But I'm against everybody having an electric car, okay? I'm very much against that. You have to be able to, if you want a hybrid or if you want a gasoline-propelled car. But, you know, we have more liquid gold, gasoline, oil, under our feet than any other country. More than Saudi Arabia, more than Russia, more than any other country. I want to use it. I want to use what we have. I want to bring down prices, bring down costs, and I also have to stop the invasion. And remember, they're taking your jobs. These people coming in are taking your jobs.
And there you go, Trump. That's your bread and butter right there. Keep hammering those points home. Hit them where it hurts. Let them know the Biden administration, which does include Kamala Harris, by the way, have insane policies that are damaging our nation, that are damaging your ability to purchase groceries, to purchase utilities, to buy a car, to buy a house, to buy just about anything. Your credit card interest rates are high right now because of the Fed, because they're trying to fight inflation that they created, for God's sakes. So hammer those points home. That's what you need to do. You need to let them know, this is what I'll do to bring those prices down. This is what I'll do to make wages grow faster. This is what I'll do to make your life easier. That is how you win voters. That is how you won in 2016. That is how you almost won in 2020. But people were just tired of the BS. We had an unprecedented moment with COVID-19. People were sick and tired of some of the BS, right? They blamed a lot of that on Trump, which we do that. We blame a lot of stuff on whoever the freaking president is, right? A lot of that stuff, might not be Joe Biden's fault. Might not be Joe Biden's fault. However, like with the inflation, that could have been prevented. You hear a lot of economists talking about this. They did absolutely nothing to prevent inflation from rising to 9%. They only reacted after it got up to a very high rate, right? And then they did nothing to try to boost the economy, to get inflation to come back down, or to make wages come up. They talk about it all the time. Oh, we're doing this and we're doing that, but they're doing nothing. So keep hammering those points home, Trump, and you will win every single time. But I think I've made my point clear, and hopefully Trump sees this. I highly doubt he will, but you never know, folks. You never know. I might just post this, go post this on Truth Social, and maybe he will see it, and maybe he will take my words to heart to answer these questions the correct way, Donald Trump. The correct way. But I think that's all I've got for this one, y'all. I want y'all to let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comments section. Do y'all agree that this was a good idea for Trump to do? I think he did a pretty good job. I think he did okay. He fumbled in a few places. We're all human and people fail, but let me know what you think. That's all I got for this one. I want to thank everybody for watching, and y'all try to have a good day. Stay legitical. Peace.